I work with a lot of people who nobody else has listened to them, kind of like me. Nobody listened to me. Everybody's like, oh, this girl's anxious. You just give her an antidepressant, send her on her way. No, I can't
Mm,
poop for 2 weeks at a time. I remember one time I couldn't poop so bad. I was dry heaving at the gym because it must have been wanting to come out the other way. Like,
mm,
but I was anxious. Of course I was anxious. I couldn't
yeah,
crap. You know what I mean? Like, but
yeah.
I was prone to anxiety, but I also was missing so many minerals and nutrients that would have helped me stay calm. Genetically, I have a ton of dopamine that just likes to hang out and spin around. I'm missing certain cofactors, and I have SNPs that I don't naturally know how to calm. So I have to build in certain modalities and supplementation so I am calm. For I need the GABA, I need the L-theanine, I need the
Mm.
choline, which turns into acetylcholine. Those things calm you down.
What's up, you beautiful beasts? I'm Katie. I'm on a mission to help humans become their favorite versions of themselves and to strive for overall health by healing their relationship to food and exercise, healing their relationship to their body, and most importantly, healing their relationship to themselves, all without ever having to step on a scale. I have had the privilege to talk to all kinds of different humans who have been through a plethora of experiences just being a human and existing. I believe that every single time someone shares their story, at least one person listening will learn from it, be inspired by it, and maybe, just maybe, even change the entire direction of their life. These are the stories of humans unveiling their beautiful beast. Keep listening. This is the Unveiling the Beast podcast. Welcome to the Unveiling the Beast podcast. And again, thank you for your flexibility. Can you tell the listeners and myself a little bit about who you are and why you think you are who you are?
Sure. My name is Taimi Lawler, and I own a company called the Stretch Beyond Yoga LLC. It is a company that helps people really look at their cellular health, but then also pairs it with the mind-body components. So anxiety is near and dear to my heart. And so I really try to work on anxiety, but also people come to me for all sorts of issues. I struggled with anxiety for a very, very long time. And thankfully, due to my own, I guess, inner voice, willpower, maybe a little, I don't know, defiance and some vanity, I didn't want to just, be on drugs and just kind of go through life.
Yeah.
And so I worked really hard, mind, body, spirit, to figure out how not to need those types of medications. And I'm not saying that, you know, that is not, I'm not anti-medication at all. I was anti-medication for me,
Mm-hmm.
the goals that I wanted to achieve and the way I wanted to live my life. I also worked, like I said, every aspect. I did an overhaul of my entire life to get to where I am today. And so I want, with the skills and tactics that I learned and what I deeply believe in, I want to share it with the people that resonates with.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And if you're open to it, would you kind of dig a little deeper into what you mean by overhaul? Like, what are some of the things
Yeah.
you did?
Yeah. So, I mean, I had an actual disease, I guess disease, autoimmune disease. And depending on who you listen to, what you believe in, that could be, from a misalignment, with my where I was in my life. But it also could be very, there's a genetic component to it too.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this autoimmune disease that wasn't getting diagnosed properly, Hashimoto's, and one of the major symptoms is anxiety and depression. Now, I also grew up in a very anxious home. So I didn't have a skill set to know how to regulate my nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I didn't really have a great sense of self because I grew up in such a, strict home. I was a kid who was type A, always performing, but not really able to critically think for myself and what I really wanted, and more of a pleasing type. And so I ended up in a career that I didn't pick. So I'm sure that had something to do with it. I'm trained as a speech and language pathologist. And in my 20s, early 20s, I was always, you could always say I was a worrier. I was prone to anxiety. And then the volume just got so turned up. And then I wasn't going to the bathroom. I'd go, weeks without pooping. And I'd work out so hard. And I was like, push, push, push. But I wasn't happy. I was like a super high functioning person. But if you talked to me and knew me, like you could tell I was like majorly unhappy with my life. Um, and so an incident happened and it forced me to take a look at myself. And I started working with two practitioners in Rochester, New York, who worked on the beliefs, like how you talk to yourself, how you think. And I started with that. And then, but I was like, well, I have all these physical symptoms too. And that led into starting to work with an acupuncturist. And I started really getting into the holistic side of health. And I'd always been a health nut, always worked out. I read diet books. I loved it. I was fascinated by health. And I just kept going down and down and down. And I had some down the rabbit hole of learning, but I had some really hard times, like trying to get on and off medications, trying to, fix my gut. It was not pretty. And then changing my beliefs and how I think about myself too.
Mm,
That, took a long time. My 20s weren't really fun into my early 30s. Thankfully, that's when I found yoga too. And that practice immediately aligned with me and resonated. So I would get on the yoga mat and I could like shed my skin, shed my anxiety every time.
yeah.
So that's like one of my greatest loves is yoga. And it's easy. My body loves it and I love teaching it. So that helped too for me then to start to like step into who I really wanted to become and create this business.
Mm. I love this conversation too because for several reasons. I mean, so many times you hear, well, just be yourself. But if you don't know who that is, it's hard to just be yourself. And then another piece I want to add to that is like the idea of learning new habits. One of the things I like to teach is habits aren't just something you do, but it's something like you want to ask yourself, who are you when you're doing this thing? And so you were talking about like just pushing hard with the exercise. Like, is that you, or is that somebody telling you that you have to push hard for the exercise in order to be healthy?
And I had a lot of anger too. Probably
Mm-hmm.
that's how I moved my anxiety, how I moved my anger. It's how I dealt with my emotions. So, which is great because we know getting into the physical body like moves the energy, but then you're right. What's that other side? Is there a voice that's telling you you need to do it to look a certain way? For me, it was both. For me, it was I
Yeah.
knew I could, calm my mind down, but also, yeah, the aesthetics were very important to me too. But I wasn't losing any weight because I was so inflamed. I couldn't, I mean, I went like, and not that weight was the whole thing, but I felt cruddy. My joints hurt. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm prone to high oxidative stress, which is internal rusting. And overexercising only creates more internal rusting. So I was just my own worst enemy forever and ever and ever until I learned, like I said, I worked with all sorts of practitioners. I worked with belief change coaches. I worked with acupuncturists, chiropractic, you name it, I did it because I was determined to feel better and figure out
Mm-hmm.
how to get out of this anxious state and not need a medication to do it.
Mm-hmm. So then when you discovered yoga,
Mhm.
what was it like? Was there just like this aha in your mind, like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do like forever? Was there
Yeah,
something? Yeah.
I just was that first. It's funny because at the time P90X was huge, and someone had given me a P90X workout, and there was this yoga thing, and I'm like, what's yoga? Like I was living in Rochester, New York at the time. Yoga was just starting around 2005, six, maybe it'd been there a little longer, but it was just starting to be the rave. So I
Mhm.
did my first yoga class was P90X, Tony Horton, and I would do it. The first part of it, the power part, and I was like, this is amazing. And then I get to the slow part and be like, this is stupid, and I turn. So then everyone was like, oh, there's this new studio, it's heated. And if so it's super hot. So if I'm a vigorous exerciser, so that's good. It checks that box. And then you get on the mat and you're like, oh, you have to breathe and you get to hold these shapes. And I previously was a figure skater and a dancer. So like
Mm,
that piece to me, like yoga is like dancing on your mat. Like people that come to my classes, I play like all sorts of stuff and I play music with a beat because I'm trying to like find the beat to move your soul so you can find it. Because we know yoga is right an inward practice. Like it's like excited. I think I'm like a DJ. but I'm really trying to like DJ your soul. And so that first session, I was like, I fell in love, and I just would go. I really just practice like 7 days a week. Now I'm lucky if I can practice one.
Mm.
But it was a game changer. And then I ended up, my life shifted again. I always have like these big shifts, and I went and got all my training. I did it in San Diego at La Jolla Prana Yoga Studio. I did my 200. I went back and did my 300. I did restorative training there. I do online yoga trainings with my vinyasa practice just to gain more skills, because it's just something that's just, I think it's for everybody. Not, now I know not people don't believe that, but my belief is there's some type of yoga that is for you.
Yeah. I have done yoga once, and for me, it's one of those things that I'm always saying, you should do more yoga. You should do yoga because I go hard with the weights. I like to lift heavy, and I also know my body needs more mobility. And so I don't know, maybe I just need to put an alarm in my phone, just like do yoga today, don't lift or something.
Well, yeah, it's hard to break out of it because people don't equate it to being a hard workout, but it can
Yeah.
be. For you, like maybe a restorative practice or a slow flow would be better to give your joints some time to really decompress and just to improve the joint tendon ligament flexibility too.
Yeah. I also love your music piece with the beat. I'm a spin instructor, not active spin instructor, but it has to be on the beat because we're gonna dance on our bikes today. So I
Yeah.
get that piece. Yeah.
Right. And we know dancing's a way to move energy. I mean, I'm playing like, I love my gangster rap, but with the right beat in the background, like, dance music, there's just so you can find it once you get into that power flow, just the same thing on the bike. Like now you're connecting like the music and the body's happy, and then you got the breath going, and now you're out of that anxious mind. It's like the most beautiful thing.
Yeah. I want to dig deeper into the mind-body connection.
Mhm.
Just because I truly believe that so many people in the world are so disconnected because they're so reliant on like what's the latest fad diet and what's the latest fad workout instead of going more for like an intuitive approach, like figuring out which foods are for you and which movement is for you. And so there's this disconnection because we focus so much on, well, what's the outside world going to tell me to eat today, rather than what do I want and what do I need. So that long explanation, what are your thoughts on the mind body disconnection and how do we reconnect it?
Well, I was absolutely disconnected from my body. I mean, I could poop, and I was like, that hello.
Yeah.
And my symptoms had to keep getting louder for me to do something about it. Basically, I'd have panic attacks. I had to be constipated. I mean, like my body had to get so loud because every symptom the body is telling you, like, hey, like something when it's chronic. When you, of course, you're going to get sick a couple times a year. That's normal. But when you
Hmm.
have a chronic condition and every day your headache is getting louder and louder and louder, or you're not going to the bathroom and your stomach's getting more bloated, or you're, waking up every night at 2 a.m., like that's a clue from the body that something is off. I listened to none of that. I thought I could push rivers. And I remember people tell me, like, Taimi, you can't push a river. I'm like, yes, I can. Now I know I can push rivers in different ways when it's in alignment with my soul. Um, so there's that piece, not paying attention to the symptoms, not slowing down, right? The only reason I slowed down in my yoga practice is because I was forced to on my second training. I was not thrilled at first having to do restorative yoga where you just lay there. You just lay there and breathe. That's it. In different positions with blankets and bolsters. I hated it. But interestingly enough, I had a back injury right around that time. So I was forced to connect and figure out why was my back acting out. There wasn't a physical injury that happened, but also because again, there was something out of alignment that I needed to fix. So I say fix, change, evolve into.
Right.
Um, I also believe that so you need to find an energetic practice, something, right, to help you connect with your body. If that's being out in nature, if that's yoga, if that is, any of the energy therapies, if it's massage, acupuncture, chiropractic, to start to get into, usually you need an external force to help you to get aligned. But then
Yeah.
on top of that, I use the cellular and genetic testing because I want to help show you, okay, look at it at a cellular level. Here's what's going on. And here's the lifestyle supplements and diet that you need if you want to clean these cells up. So I like the data piece. And then I also like the body piece together. And then of course the mind just will come along to that.
Mhm.
But I guess you have to say the first step is you have to also be aware in the mind to make the changes.
Yeah. I
You,
love, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, awareness is right. You have to have awareness.
Yeah. And I talk about this a lot on this podcast, and my listeners are probably sick of hearing me say this, but one of the biggest things that's changed my life is the idea of noticing without judging. And that's that awareness piece to where you just start paying attention to things you do, things you say, the ways you react to other people and situations, and just notice what you're doing. Because sometimes, like, we're on autopilot and we don't even realize we're doing it. And so noticing these things without judging, and if you judge, notice that too. And then once it's in your awareness, that now you're at choice because
Yeah.
we're always at choice with everything. And so I love that you bring up awareness because that is what has just like flipped everything for me in my own personal life.
Yeah. Well, yoga would help you seal it in even more because yoga creates awareness because you're in that space, right? You're holding in those positions. We use the postures, the asanas, um, as ways to help bring awareness, and you're breathing into it. So you're holding, and then what's going to come up? You're in a warrior two, and you're holding your arms out, and you're bent into that front knee, and you're sitting there, and you're breathing, and your arms are starting to get tired. And then you're also thinking about your grocery list. And then all of a sudden you're like, you exhale, and the body softens. And now you're aware of maybe a pattern that you do, or you're
Mhm.
aware that when you start to get anxious, if you go back to your breath, you can calm yourself down. So you start to become aware of your thought patterns, how you breathe, if you don't breathe. So it's a really good way to build self-awareness, resiliency, your own identity, right? Being standing in your own like balance postures, if you're in tree pose, being able to stand there. And if, okay, so what if you fall out? No judgment, like you just said, put your leg back up and keep breathing and holding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
I don't. It's funny you
You
say that.
don't?
Thinking about it. No, I don't. Add it to the list of things. I don't even have a podcast. That's another dream out there.
Well, I
No.
ask because like me personally, I want to just start doing yoga. I have a home gym and I have a TV in there and I want to just like put yoga on my TV and just do it. And I'm not saying that like, oh, I gotta do like I really want to. I just keep forgetting. But I say that because like yours would be the first one I would want to try. But do you have any suggestions for like people who don't want to go to a gym and take a class? Any YouTube recommendations or
People love yoga with Adrienne. I'd heard about that a long. That was big when I was getting trained in California. Yoga with Adrienne. She was really smart. She got on there, on the social platforms and really put her stuff out there. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't do any of my home practice. I don't look at anyone online. I'm very much go to a studio or I don't practice. I go to a teacher. I'm a live person. Maybe because that's how I started. I mean, there's always Tony Horton's P90X. It's probably floating out there somewhere. I might even still have it. But yoga's come such a long way because there's also so many forms of yoga. There's power yoga,
Mhm.
there's hatha, restorative, yin. I mean, there's all different types depending on what you want to do. But I would check her out. I know she's got a massive following.
Okay. I'll post, I wrote it down. I'll post it in the show notes for the listeners. Um, but yeah, I would probably recommend like go do it in person. The one class I did was in person, and I hate telling this story because I actually hated it, but it was because I took two other classes right before it. I was an over exerciser. And so I did a spin class and then a body pump, and then right after that was yoga. I'm like, I just got to keep doing all the things, and I hated it. And my brain said, you hate yoga, but my body said, no, you're just fucking tired, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I know it's a really good practice for people, like especially the I said the word earlier. I had a baby once, hold on. The mobility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mobility, flexibility, strength, it does all of it. Absolutely.
Mm,
Yeah. And then it's an inward practice. It's really, and
hmm.
that's, I know some people don't, it is not a religion, but there is a philosophy to it. And it is a journey to your own soul. I always think about now when I step on the mat and practicing for so long, that what do I need to shed today? Or like I have a big goal that I'm trying to work towards. Every time I get on the mat, what fear do I need to shed?
Mm,
What do I need to let go of? Um, that for me, because it really helped my limbic system. It really, that anxious brain of mine, man, it's so loud. And I'd float off that mat at the end. Took me a while to just lay in that 5 minutes of Shavasana, but usually if I went to a super hard, hot power class, you're so exhausted, you can't wait to just lay there.
yeah.
So,
I love it.
yeah.
I'm so thirsty today. I don't know why. Maybe I'll check my cells.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, it does sodium because sodium is when I do hair tissue mineral analysis testing and I do 3x4 genetic blueprint. So genes that you can switch, change by lifestyle, turn down, turn up.
Hmm.
And like, let's say, right, you said you were thirsty. When we don't have enough sodium and potassium balanced in the body, we can have what's called like dry cell syndrome. So
Mm,
our cells are literally dehydrated and the
mm,
electrolytes of the body are not balanced, calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium. So I look at through the hair, it's data, it's not diagnostic. I use these tests that help you to figure out what your cells are doing, your unique cells need. And then that way I create programs based upon what the data is telling me through mineralization, helping you with what to eat, what to take. Because I mean, unfortunately, our food is like not, it's dirty. The ground is dirty, like the fertilizer is not as clean. We're exposed to so many heavy metals. We don't get the right nutrients. We're like busier than ever. We're eating on the go, all the things.
mm. Yeah.
So this is a way to give the body exactly what you need instead of going and buying the next random supplement that Instagram just told you needed. I actually show you what you need and if you should take it or not, if it's worth it, if it's going to be beneficial to you. It does take time. I work with some pretty, let me say sick people. I work with a lot of people who nobody else has listened to them. Kind of like me. Nobody listened to me. Everybody's like, oh, this girl's anxious. You just give her an antidepressant, send her on her way. No, I can't
Mm,
poop for 2 weeks at a time. I remember one time I couldn't poop so bad. I was dry heaving at the gym because it must have been wanting to come out the other way. Like,
mm.
but I was anxious. Of course I was anxious. I couldn't
Yeah.
crap. You know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah.
I was prone to anxiety, but I also was missing so many minerals and nutrients that would have helped me stay calm. Genetically, I have a ton of dopamine that just likes to hang out and spin around. I'm missing certain cofactors and I have SNPs that I don't naturally know how to calm. So I have to build in certain modalities and supplementation so I am calm. I need the GABA, I need the L-theanine, I need the
Hmm.
choline, which turns into acetylcholine. Those things calm you down. So the
Hmm.
genetics shows me that. A lot of my clients that come to me too, they're like, am I crazy? I'm like, no, you're not crazy. Look, you're missing this and this. Let's do this and this. Are you prone to anxiety? Sure. Can you flip the switch? Absolutely, if you want to.
Mm. Do these tests also show if they have too much of something?
Yeah, they indicate, like the hair test will indicate what's at a loss and what is maybe that's too high, like liver stress, cobalt. The genetics test will tell me if something in the body is moving, if the enzyme is moving too fast or too slow. So let's take like COMT and AMOA. Um, those are in the hormone pathway and in the mood and behavior pathway. And depending on how they show up on the test, you might um maybe break it, you don't break it down quick enough, so
Mm,
it's moving too slow and the stuff's hanging out, or it's moving too fast and you're just burning through and you're not able to, let's say, keep B6 or B12 in the gut because
mm,
you can't. Now I've just jumped to some other snips, but you are using it too quickly. So you can learn how to, through the testing, figure out how to feed the SNP or do the thing so the SNP slows down or speeds up.
got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
the reason I ask is because sometimes, well, a lot of times people will have a symptom and then they use Dr. Google and it says,
Yeah,
take this supplement. But sometimes the excess of a supplement can cause the same side effects as
absolutely.
yeah. So,
Absolutely. Too much B12, too
mm-hmm,
much people that take SAM-E,
mm-hmm,
people that take too much methylfolate. You can overmethylate, and overmethylation can lead to anxiety. Depending too how it may, like if you have metals in the system, if you have high copper, like everybody needs to be working in tandem, or everybody's working either against each other or with each other, depending on what mineral you're talking about. And at the cellular level, what enzymes everybody's got to meet up with the next person they need to meet. So like magnesium is a huge cofactor, and it meets up with different processes in the body to then create the enzyme to do the next job, to do the next thing. But if you don't have any magnesium, or you have a magnesium deficiency, how are you going to do that? You're not.
yeah,
You know, if you have gut stuff, B12, too much B12 definitely can make somebody feel Looney Tunes. Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm. Because vitamin D is one of them too, right? Where the same.
Yeah, vitamin D is, you can have vitamin D toxicity. And
Mm-hmm.
so you can, that too much of that can also cause almost like, it depends. It can be pretty scary. I mean, everything needs to be balanced in the system, sodium and potassium. Really, magnesium is something that you never have to worry about overdosing on. And we all need so much of it because it's our first mineral that we burn out on when we're stressed, that and zinc. But zinc you even have to be careful with. But magnesium, because we live in such a stress culture, you can take a lot of magnesium. The only thing that could happen is maybe if you take a citrate, you might have some diarrhea. But other than that, you don't have to worry. But yeah, other toxicity with vitamin D, and then overmethylation with some of the other supplements can make you feel icky for
Yeah.
sure. So that's why it's important to use the data, not just like when I first started, I was like, oh yeah, these are the supplements you need. No, no, no. Every body is so different and so individualized. Like get the data to know exactly. Look at multiple data points. Look at blood, look at urine, look at hair, look at stool, or look at least at two. Like I like blood and hair. And then your genetics is always your genetics. So whatever genetics you were born with on day one is going to stay that way till the day you die. All you want to do is learn how to live your life to optimize those genetics so they are working the best way possible for you at all times.
If I took that clip that you just said, I love blood and hair, that could be taken way out of context.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
love
Thank
blood
you.
and
That's a
hair.
good idea. I know. I like to look at the data points of blood and hair.
Yes.
I should have caught. I know. Sorry. I get so excited. I just
No,
like,
no. Oh, I'm keeping
yeah.
it in. I was just like, I hope nobody just clips that part.
Yeah. Please don't
Um,
keep our explanation in.
um, yeah, so where can people find you?
Sure. Yes. Thank you. I am on Instagram as a Stretch Beyond Yoga. I'm on Facebook, Taimi Lawler. I do have a group on there, Stretch Beyond Yoga, Stretch Beyond Anxiety. And then I'm on TikTok, Stretch Beyond Yoga. And I also have my website, Stretch Beyond Yoga, where you can then, there's a page I do free consultations. I always want to hear your story. I want to make sure I'm a good fit. And if not, I want to help you find the right person, because to me, like, it's so important. There were so many people that helped me on the way, and I just want to pay it forward. And I love helping people who are passionate about helping themselves.
Yeah, I love that. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to add you to my network of coaches because I have, coaches that specialize in all kinds of things, and people aren't always a good fit for us. So I always
No,
like to,
depending on, yeah, the issue, personality. Sometimes, you don't want to do the protocol. And
yeah,
yeah, no, I would love that. Yeah, everything I use is like doctor grade. I only use certain companies. I work with certain physicians and NPs. Like I definitely yeah, want to do it right.
yeah. Well, I have one more question for you. And I ask everyone at the end of every episode, and that is if you had one piece of advice that you could give to the world, what would it be?
Oh, that's so hard. I'm gonna say don't give up.
Mm,
I'm not a giver upper. But I think that comes like, don't give up, but if it's important to you. Like for me, my health was so important for me. but it was probably really because my soul knew that I needed to like do this to help other people. So if it's important for you or you feel it, even if other people are telling you no, like, even like other professionals, doctors, or whoever you're talking to, that no, that's not right for you. Listen to your own. Go inside and listen, because it's your truth is the most important. So don't give up if you feel it in your heart.
I love it. Beautiful beasts, Taimi Lawler signing off. Until next time. Bye.